Now we're going to talk about worms, because worms are a crucial part of any soil ecosystem. I've got two types to show you today.
So in this container I've got some of my worm farm worms. You can see there's actually quite a bit of little worms in here. So they produce this wonderful humus, which is basically they've chomped through a whole lot of veggie scraps, kitchen scraps here, and they've produced this. This is fantastic for the garden. It's really good material. These are tiger worms. They are eating machines. They can eat through all your scraps and veggies and all sorts of things. They're very hungry worms. They're also very sensitive worms.
So they're wonderful, wonderful little worms. So I'll put those back in there. Okay, the other thing to keep in mind, some people have told me that their worms have died off. It might be because you haven't got them in a safe place where it's dark and it's sheltered. I put a little kind of blanket over my worm farm as well in the winter to keep it a good temperature for them. And you also need to make sure it's always moist in this environment for them, because they do like those kind of conditions. They're a bit sensitive. So that's your worm farm worms. Okay. Then we've got our regular garden variety worms.
And what they tend to do, they're a bit nomadic. They go around foraging for all sorts of organic material to eat.
And these are the real machines of the garden. They eat a lot of the scraps, dead things, organic materials, and what comes out the other end is absolute pure gold, and it goes back into your soil, and it's fantastic.
You encourage them into your garden I bury scraps in my garden. I make sure I'm putting a lot of compost in my garden, and they will go through and they will put holes and fissures and cracks all through your soil to allow the roots in your garden.
So you can see, if I compare the two types of worms.
Garden worms and your worm farm worms. Now you don't want to put the worm farm worms into your regular soil, because they're used to eating a whole lot and they won't go very well in regular garden soil. They're also a bit sensitive and used to being looked after, whereas these guys are very tough.
And you don't have as many of those because they have to go further. So don't put the two in the different conditions. They're both fantastic. Love my worms.
And they are a crucial part of any soil ecosystem.